So Ashley, let's kind of wrap up with this. When it comes to conflict, I think for some people, this feels like a separate category from our recovery. Over here, we've got our recovery and our groups and the healing and trying to change behaviors and fix my marriage. And then over there, like, yeah, conflict and holidays, all that. Okay, well, why would we say that handling conflict in a healthy way is an important part of our healing and recovery journey?
Yeah. Well, I know I shared before on previous podcast episodes where John left me on Christmas Eve and then like didn't come back till like 1 o'clock in the morning. That was so traumatic and devastating, not only to me and my children, but we were in the midst of recovery and healing. And when all like your bucket is only so big. So when all this tension is building, and especially it being condensed during the holiday season, it doesn't matter if it's conflict coming from your family or for work, and then throw on top of this huge marriage fracture, things can really hit the ceiling. And so it's important, we teach a very holistic approach, like in our Unravel group, where you have women addicts, we're like sleep matters, what you're eating matters. And so I think you alluded to it earlier, Nick, if we're out of a routine because it's holiday season, we might not be going to the gym. We might not be getting enough sleep because we're freaking out about the house being perfect. We might be overspending because we want everything to be perfect. We want to buy a gift for everybody. So then we have financial stress. We have lack of sleep, stressing our body, eating terrible things during the holiday, too much sugar, too much, too many carbs. And so diet, and then relationship conflict. I wanted to put together with that like decision fatigue, where you're feeling drained because you're making a lot of extra decisions during the holidays and financial things, and then to throw that on top of an already rough marriage is just like a recipe for disaster. And so when I go back to the comment about decision fatigue, if we can pre-plan as much as we can so that we're not being drained by all these decisions in the moment, and if we can schedule margin of like recovery time so that we can get back to kind of like a base level before going into another event or holiday, then we'll have more capacity to deal with our spouse in a way that's not so triggering. And I know that when John left me that one Christmas Eve, it was like in the moment, it was like, well, the kids and the house and so much cooking, and and it's like that really wasn't what it was about at all. The next year we were able to very, very clearly recognize that he was having built up anxiety and stress about seeing his parents, about entering the holiday season, and it was just kind of coming out and landing on us. And so, those are things to think about the next year of how to
Yeah.
avoid those things.
I think too, someone who's early on in recovery really quickly realizes once they've started the recovery journey that avoiding conflict or the pain or discomfort that conflict causes is what led us to acting out and becoming, addicted to sex or pornography or having affairs or whatever it may be. And not that betrayed partners can't feel the same way. They absolutely can. Avoiding conflict can very easily and often does lead us to unhealthy behaviors, whether it's super hyper damaging or it maybe is something that seems a little bit less of a big deal, like overeating or procrastinating, things like that. So I think that the reason why this is so important is because like managing conflict is a double bind in this holiday season, that if we choose to do the hard thing, it sets us up to manage things in a healthier way, that we're not running away from things, but we're proactively leaning into it. So I definitely think handling conflict is a really big piece.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Unresolved conflict or conflict handled poorly is what drives us down the faster scale.
Mm-hmm.
It's what drives us towards needing something to cope because we didn't find a healthy outlet. So now we need something else to deal with what we're feeling, whether it's alcohol or food or sex or whatever, gaming, all the things that we've used. It's driving us towards it. But healthy conflict teaches our brain that I can do hard things and learn and grow because of them. And ultimately, that's what recovery is all about. It's learning to do that the right thing is often the hard thing, that the challenging things in front of me, rather than avoiding them or shrinking back from them, that I have the courage with the help of God and others around me in community to face those things and to walk through them to a better place rather than running away and going to my old coping patterns. So this is just one of the areas that we're saying, God, I need to learn a new way of doing life.
Yep.
I need to not just stop an old behavior. I need to do life differently. And part of that is I can do hard things. Through Christ, I can face those conversations. I can face that person. I can face that difficult part of my past or the unhad conversation. And with God's grace, hope that by going through it, it really will change. That these patterns of conflict that many of us can get in around the holidays don't just come back every 12 months. It's like, no, this happened a little differently this year. And maybe next year even more so and more so, until we might get to the place where our life is the Hallmark movie. No, actually, I hope not, because ironically, in the Hallmark movie, most of the people are single, which is crazy. All these attractive 30-something adults that are single and find each other and fall in love. I hope you're married to the person in several years that you're currently with, because you've just gotten better and better, and you don't need the relational fallout of the Hallmark movie to deal with conflict better in the end. So I think that's my hope, is that as we get better at this, it does change the future holidays for the good, and we really see growth, which again, I think that's the goal, is growth, and this is a place we really want to see it happening.
Yeah,